Welcome to another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on a 37-year-old from Manchester, England. His hockey journey has been entirely in one of the Shed's honey holes, the chocolatey Manchester Storm, a staple and legend in the minor hockey program, and is a fellow roller hockey enthusiast. He is now running amok of the fitness industry and is chiseling a bunch of Shed guys even with their chocolate addiction, as the lead strength and conditioning coach of one of my favorite teams in one of my favorite barns, the Manchester Storm. Welcome to my Shed, Sam Bell.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
Hey, thanks for coming on, sir. And I get into how we know each other. Nice to meet you.
Finally.
Yeah, so I guess this started because somebody put a tweet out there about something and you liked it. And I'm like, oh, the head strength and conditioning guy of my chocolatey team.
All happened dead quick.
It did happen quick. Things happen quick in the Shed, right?
Get stuff done.
You got to get stuff done, right?
That's it.
So I guess it's early here. It's kind of early there, eh? So you're at work?
Home. I have a gym in my house.
Oh, stop.
I
do
home.
too. I got a gym in my house too, but it hasn't been used in a while.
So yeah, I've just had a few clients this morning and then jumped in the office to.
So you got a gym at your house?
Yeah, I have a garage.
Yeah.
With everything: squat rack, weight plates, ropes, bike, dumbbell rack.
So
everything.
What type of music are we pumping out to when we're working out here?
If it's me, it's heavy metal.
Really?
I'm talking Me Sugar,
okay.
Slipknot.
Really?
Just hard heavy metal.
Just tossing weights around, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm more of a casual approach. I'm country music, you know.
Oh, I love my country though.
Easy does
That's
it.
the warm-up music.
Oh, it's that warm-up. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Get the country radio.
That's
on.
what I was done. Okay. So yeah, how we know each other though is I guess there's been some chocolate thrown on the ice in Manchester recently, right?
Yeah, there were quite a lot as well.
So do you go and watch all the games then at home?
Yeah. Try to, and take the family. Kids love it, falling in love with the game. And
so, I saw that you're taking your kids. So what, you got 2 kids?
So I got 2 kids, 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old little lad.
And a couple of your poster pics were your daughter at the games, eh? So she's liking it.
Yeah, my mum and my wife always thought I was pushing her into it. You got to watch hockey, but she loves it. Never make her do something she doesn't want to do. But
well, exactly. And I'm actually coaching my daughter this year, and I've never pushed my kids into any hockey. It's up to them if they want to do it. But yeah, she shocked the world. Like, I guess it was a year and a half ago, and said she wanted to do hockey last season. She did it with like co-ed, like just kind of stations, not really on a team. But this year we're a team, and it's really fun. And I got to bring this up before I forget, as we did just have a raffle in the Shed, and it was a 2 Ales and Hockey Tales jersey and a Mark Lewis jersey.
Oh yeah,
I believe just fought one of your players. But anywho, we raised a bunch of money, and I did just donate $458 to prostate cancer research Wales and thanks Garrick Swarley for donating the jerseys, and the other half of the money goes to fun with my girls. So I'm going to get them little mini sticks. I got shirts on the way, you know.
Brilliant. Sounds great.
Well, it's really cool what coming out to your Shed can do for opportunities of fun, right? I would have never been able to make mini sticks and shirts for my girls unless I get up early and talk in my Shed, right?
All worthwhile.
It is all worthwhile. So, did you know that the next win in Manchester, there will in fact be yaps imported from Sweden to be thrown on the ice for Jesper, one of my favorite players?
I've seen on the world of Twitter all the pictures coming up of imports, and
yeah, they're bringing the chocolate in, folks.
Hopefully we can get that on Friday night.
Who's Friday? Do you know?
We have Sheffield at home Friday.
Oh dear, we've beat them before at home, haven't we?
That's right.
But actually, Jesper inspired me. I got to bring this up too, because when I saw his hockey stance, when he's standing at the blue line getting ready to run the half wall on the new school side, his hockey stance, when I did my skills day, I had all the kids in their hockey stances and stuff. And then I saw my kids' hockey stance, and I was like, it's very much the same as Jesper's. And what I'm going to do is I get my son's hockey stance and my daughter's hockey stance, and my poster maker guy, the best guy in the world, Lee Freeman, is going to make the silhouette of their hockey stance.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get shed guy and shed gal shirts and hats made, and it's going to be my
Amazing.
kids, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the shed guy will be Colby, the shed gal will be Zoe. It's going to be, I'm awfully excited about it.
Amazing. If you sell them, I'll get some for my too.
Yeah, we got to talk to Finner, eh? Maybe Finner and Ginner about maybe a pop-up stand in the storm
Yeah,
shelter,
yeah.
eh? Maybe sell some merch, eh, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, Kit Kats are coming out for Barrow too. So him and Jesper and that Simmons are doing pretty well this year, eh? Like, how much do you know about hockey?
Yeah, so I will always say I've followed hockey since '95 when I was 10 years old. Uh, no way am I a coach or
You are a
I'll
coach. You're a
never,
strength coach.
yeah. So in terms of the game, I just enjoy watching the game. Uh, Not big on tactics and this and that and systems, and
Mhm.
always like the tougher side of the sport.
Okay.
Uh,
Because you're listening to heavy metal and chucking weights around. I get it.
could coincide, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the part I fell in love with at first was
The fighting.
it's so unique, especially like over here, you know,
When
soccer.
you see two dudes like get right into her, like a full blown brawl, like a good hockey fight, it is as entertaining as it gets, right?
Yeah, it's just so intriguing. Like
Yeah.
over for us over here, I grew up. My dad was a football coach, so I just grew up. It was soccer, football, just all the time.
Mhm.
Then I watched Bob Probert against Craig Cox on. I think it was in IT at high school when the internet was dial up.
Oh yeah. It
Uh,
was slow back then.
Well, but I downloaded Craig Cox, Bob Probert, and was like, "Oh my god, look at these two!
Yeah. No,
Uh, just so intriguing."
it really
And then you learn
is.
about the role and why it's done, and the characters that do it, and when you
Well,
delve
and
a bit
there
deeper,
really is, like, for like just general fans of hockey, like there's a lot of reasons for fighting and why
yeah,
guys do it, and whether it's to get your team going, whether they've had a tough start. But like when a guy goes out there and does that for the team and then kind of looks at everybody like, hey, like, let's go. It can be a powerful thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. Every once in a while, fun fact, I wouldn't mind challenging myself and dropping the mitts and getting beat
yeah.
up just so my team would see I would do it.
Team guy,
Team guy. And another team guy is another shed guy, Critch. This is how it all started with your captain, eh? So
yeah,
he's a pretty swell dude, isn't he?
he's awesome, Critch. Yeah, great
I
guy, great leader
I could
off
tell.
the ice, in the gym.
Mhm.
Beast in there, trains hard, and then on the ice, obviously, he's just a leader all around, just a
Yeah.
great guy.
He's a
Yeah, really
leader all
good.
day, every day. Those are the true captains, right? The guys that
Yeah,
don't have to do anything different than they normally would do.
yeah, and you don't mind. You can ask him to run through a brick wall for you, but he'll just do anything. He'll
Yeah.
ask you to do it, but it'll be a bit easier because he's already done it. That makes sense. He's
Yeah,
that kind of guy.
yeah, no, for sure. So I guess you've been the strength coach for Finner and Ginner, eh? You even went through a coaching change?
Yeah, I've had Omar Pasha was
All
my
right.
first guy.
He was a
Uh,
player coach, right?
he was player coach, yeah. So that was a
I remember playing against him. He'd be sucking wind too out there. Was he not listening to your training tactics?
I don't know how they do the player coach, and he was also fully like with the business side as well. That was his interest, so it wasn't just tactics and get on the ice, get in the gym. He was immersed into the Storm as a business, the community. He did everything. He
And
was a
I
real good
guess
guy
that's what
to.
he's running the Panthers now, isn't
He
he?
runs the Panthers now. Yeah, he's earned his way up definitely because it's the stuff people don't see behind the scenes that they just think player coach plays hockey, he's done by midday or whatever, 1 o'clock. He threw himself into that club, grew the community, just did as much. There was nothing he wouldn't do.
Right.
Uh,
And
Between
those
him
are
and Neil
the
Russell,
guys you need in charge though, right? Like
yeah,
Andrew Lord, man, I mean, I always wondered what coaches did all day, like especially the ones that didn't play, like just the normal coaches. I'm like, why are you in the office all day? Like, what are you doing? Like, you watch
yeah,
the games, you figure out the plan, and like that's that. But Lorda would be there watching video all day and
yeah, yeah,
just get so into it in every detail. And those are the guys that win stuff, right?
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Set the tone.
I guess when Pasha was there, this is one of my tales for today, is the GM was Russell, right?
Yeah.
So when I only played against the Storm for one season, and I only played one game in the Storm shelter, and then my knee went. And when I was the pregame speaker, and I went to Manchester and dressed naked as a Viking, I did the pregame speech after Deuce. Guillaume Doucette was talking to Russell outside of our locker
Yeah.
room and was telling him the story of what I had done that night. And I remember the GM was like, he was talking to me. He was like, "So you actually went on the fan bus and then you got naked as a Viking and did a pregame speech at like 5 hours away?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's right."
Team
uh,
guy.
yeah, he seemed like a good dude too, though. That
He
Russell.
he was great, Neil. Him and Pash together were a great team, and individually, I learned so much. You know, you come in as a strength guy, but I learned so much under Pash and Neil of business and how to carry yourself, how to interact, and I was really lucky to,
To work
first year
under
into
them, right?
hockey,
Yeah.
work under them. Was still keep in touch today.
I feel the
And
same way of seeing Todd Kelman run a business,
yeah,
running the Devils, and seeing what he did with an organization to where it is now, and like seeing it from afar, but also seeing it that first year.
yeah,
I think I carried that into my real world life and how to run a team and like build a culture,
yeah. That's exactly what it was. Yeah, they were
make everybody feel important and feel like their job matters and like what they're doing is very important to the success of the team, right?
exactly. You could say to like Neil or Pash that your grandmother was going for a little operation or something, and 2 months later they'd be how's to anybody they were just two great guys to work under. They really were. I was really fortunate to get in with them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's another guy from your team that I had on before the Chocolate Storm started, Anthony DeLuca. So he missed a season for using cannabis, which pretty much all of Canadians use now.
Yeah,
Question for you as a trainer of athletes, because I've heard this from many trainers. Would you rather your athletes drink alcohol or use cannabis?
I I think it's a dead easy answer.
Yeah, me too.
uh I won't go into political things of why it's banned and all that, but I'd much rather someone be
Yeah.
using more of a natural remedy for recovery.
Something
uh
that grows out of the ground, like it's meant
exactly.
to be
So
there
we
to
can
be
go all
used.
day about political stuff, but
No, I know. I just a lot of trainers had mentioned that to me as I was coming up in hockey, and that was back when it was like illegal. And I was like, you would rather me smoke weed and stuff than get after it with the fellas on the weekend. And
yeah.
that's what the trainers would tell me. And I was like, huh, interesting.
Because don't get me wrong, I always think that you can do all your team building and everything, but nothing beats a couple of beers with the boys for a
Oh,
bit of team bonding,
oh,
building.
talk dirty to me.
Uh,
We just met. Don't talk dirty to me. Keep going. Yeah. No, you're right though. That is how teams win. And it is you have to go out as teams and you have to
yeah,
have beers. That's like you work really hard at the rink and it's always work at the rink, right?
yeah,
But then when you get away from the rink, it doesn't have to be work and you could be a team.
exactly. And I think maybe early on in my career, you have this. Oh, you don't drink beer, you don't do. Oh, it's delays recovery, bloody. But as I've got older, you also have to factor in, and this is how my philosophy is. And we're working with humans. Yes, you play hockey or you play a sport, but you still, and this is where what a lot of people forget. You're just a human who's fortunate enough you're getting paid to do the sport you enjoy.
Yeah.
Uh, does it mean you enjoy it all the time? Is it easy? No, it can be a grind.
Oh yeah.
And you go out with the
Well,
boys.
and like you focus up all week to get prepared for the weekend. And then when that weekend comes to an end, usually whether you won or lost, you want to discuss with your buddies, have a few, or celebrate winning, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, it delays recovery. Yeah, but
We
again,
don't have to be
it's
recovered till next weekend.
you're finding that balance of you're
Well,
not
you have
robot.
to have that release after
Exactly.
the weekend, I think,
Yeah.
because it can be very serious. It's like I've talked about it on this before. It's like every shift in pro hockey, like it is very serious. Like you can't screw up because you screw up a few times, you ain't getting back out there anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Anywho,
I don't think people appreciate the emotion that goes in. Like I've been in locker rooms in a few sports where guys have given everything the
yeah.
body will give, put it on the line.
Hmm.
You've not got the result that you wanted. That emotional dump after.
Oh,
I've seen tears in locker rooms of big, strong, big, strong men. But
yeah.
the emotion that goes into the game and the sport and
Well,
it
and
it
I think I don't know. I'm very into winning. That's like what I'm most proud of in my career. But I remember well, we lost in the East Coast final my rookie year, and I was like, okay, it's my rookie year, I got time, whatever. But then that next year we lost in overtime in the final game in Germany with Landshut. And I saw like our captain was like 39 years old and he was bawling his eyes out after. And there's
yeah
a few guys bawling their eyes out. And I didn't that year. I remember not crying, and I'm like, wow, like those guys, it's hitting them really hard that we didn't do it. And then when I finally won the next year, like it is so different winning. But then the end of my career when we lost in Cardiff in the playoffs to Belfast, and I didn't know if that was it for me, if it was all over or what. Like you never know how many chances you have to win.
yeah
And I remember I was the old guy bawling my eyes out because I I didn't know how many more chances I had.
that's it. You don't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate, do you, when they say, was it youth is wasted on the young, is it? Whatever that phrase is, where you think when you're young, you just think you've got it all. Oh, it'll last forever.
It will, and then
And
it's
quite
then
quickly,
it
you think,
doesn't, and then all of a sudden you go back home with your tail between your legs and have no idea what to do with life. Yeah, yeah, strange world. So, where and what are you doing now? I guess you're at your home and you got a gym, eh?
yeah. So just train some clients, and then a little gap in the day, and then back to the gym later.
So, how far are you from the rink then?
It's about a 30-minute drive for me.
So, where
Uh,
do you train the team then? Do you train the
so
team?
we're lucky we're sponsored by like a chain of gyms over here, Total Fitness. So literally just over the road from the gym, we have a big Total Fitness. So guys will have practice, and then we get changed and head over to the gym after. And it's got everything you could ever want. It's got all like the wet facilities, saunas, steam rooms, pools.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we're
Saunas are
lucky.
great.
It's right next to the rink.
Okay.
It's a great gym, yeah.
Did you guys do a fitness test this year?
So we did some this year, yeah.
What'd you
It's
do?
tough. It's tough in the elite league, like, and
There's
again,
some
this
really
is
stupid fitness tests in hockey. Did you know that?
yeah, in sport, and it's like my philosophy is what you're testing for, what you're using it for, and you're going to retest. Well, you've lived and breathed the elite league. Guys, I've had pre-seasons in say rugby union. You have 12 weeks before guys are even contemplating we have a fixture for a game. So you can plan gym, plan the field really well.
Yeah.
I've had it where guys land on a Sunday and it's induction day the next day. We play Coventry on a Wednesday on the road, home Saturday, Sunday, another game Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, then the season starts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It,
When
it's
you get
not
over there to the elite league or to the UK, it's go time, right? Like there's no because yeah, they pay players weekly, or they always did. And then basically they're not gonna bring you in too many weeks early that they gotta pay you for if you're
exactly,
not
yeah.
playing. Yeah.
So I have to be really smart and think, what am I testing for? My thing is I'd rather just get guys in the gym and see how they move. Are we
Hmm.
moving okay? Are we good on technique when we're lifting? Because we're, Christmas time, our fixtures bump up. Yourself at your Boxing Day, you go in New Year's Day. There's just fixtures crammed in. Are
Yeah.
we
Oh
going to
yeah.
retest at that point on all these other fitness things? So it's always a fine line in the elite league for fitness testing.
Yeah. Did you do a fat test?
We did a very loose. I mean, it was
I hate it.
actually,
I hated you guys when you started pinching me all over.
yeah,
Leave me alone. Get your hands off of me.
it was late on in summer that I was fortunate where my position changed where I could come back to the team properly. Because in the previous years, it's kind of just been helping out if they needed a bit of guidance, a bit of support. And I was busy away doing other things,
Mhm.
whereas circumstances changed, so I could give more time. But it was like I had a week to prepare. So it was a bit hoping next summer it'll be a lot more prepared.
Right.
Uh,
That's, I mean, every team does it differently. And
Yeah.
that got my curiosity when I saw you're the strength coach. Because back in the day when I was with Cardiff, Carl Hudson, Chet guy, was our fitness trainer the second year.
Okay.
He
Yeah,
made
yeah,
all the workouts and like he was very talented at it. He was very good at
yeah,
it, but he was one of the players on the team, right? And
yeah,
it's a it was back when the budget wasn't as big in Cardiff and they're trying to probably save some money. So they're gonna have a player do both, right? Just like
yeah. You make
coaching.
do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so have you ever had anybody show up kind of fat? You don't have to
I
say
think
names, just tell me. It's okay.
I've in sport, in every sport I've worked with, you always have guys who will come in,
A little
but
fat.
like they'll come in out of shape,
Mhm.
or they physically they look it. But
Okay.
then I've had guys who that's when they play the best.
Have you ever seen
Again,
guys that
it's that
look out of shape, but then they get on the ice and they're not?
exactly. And in our little community of strength coaches, when you chat, the guys will always say, "I've had someone who looks like a bag of milk,"
I
and
knew
then
we were gonna get along.
they go out onto the ice and they perform skate. And in my role, we're looking to keep guys on the ice. We're not bodybuilders. We're the hockey players. We're
Injury
trying to
prevention
supplement.
too, right?
Yeah, we're trying to supplement in the gym to help them out on the ice.
Mhm.
Guys might look a certain way, but they might be the best technical skaters out there and beat everybody hands down.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so sometimes it's not just as simple as oh, they look a certain way, so that means they're going to be a poor player or poor fitness or
Well, I still remember my fitness test when I got to Germany. So I showed up the first year in Landsuit about 4 games into the season, which I've missed the whole preseason, missed the first 4 regular season games. Then they signed me. I show up and they just signed an old fella, Aussie, and we had to do a bike test. And it was literally the one it gets harder every 90 seconds. And they take your blood every 90 seconds and they're
yeah.
testing the whatever acid and whatever. And I did my test and I went as long as I could until you can't go anymore or whatever it is. And they take my blood and stuff and then they take it after when you're sitting there like recovering. And my results were you're kind of fat, but you recover at a very fast rate. So it's okay that you're a little bit fat. And they told me that, and that's what I knew I was welcome.
But that's it. It's not always black and white, you
No,
know.
everybody's body reacts differently, right?
Exactly.
Okay, poster picks. There was one with you with Russell and Omar, and then a number 73 and another fella. So that's how you first got into the Storm was with those guys then, eh?
So yeah, so that was Pash had gone to Dundee to be the GM head coach there. One of the taller guys,
One guy had numbered 73 on
Matt
his.
Bissonette. I had a blank then. Matt Bissonette. So he was with the Storm my first year I joined with them. They all went to Dundee. We just and it was again, it was like
Seeing your old
talking
friends when
about
they came back to Manchester.
yeah, I'm big on building relationships. It's not like just you do this, you do that. I tell you what I know this, I know what's right for you. It's about, and like what I said earlier about you're all human. Let's build relationships. And that picture felt like a bit of it was a
Yeah.
few years later and it was like, yeah, you've built good relationships and it shows here.
No, I totally know what you mean. And you know, to be honest with you, there's a bunch of fitness guys, like the guys that were with teams, I never really built relationships with. Like they'd show up, they'd do the thing, they'd run us through our workouts, and then they'd leave, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. I like your attitude. I like what you're doing because like that's how I guess I do this, right? Is I had relationships with my teammates that
exactly.
if I ask them to make time for me, they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Next one you said was Jay Rosehill. You sent me a picture of a fellow with just fantastic form about to get into a deadlift, eh?
Yeah.
Good
I
form.
give
Did you teach him
Jay
all
all the
that or did he
credit.
already know?
I give him the credit. He was already good, Jay.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, working with Rosie, that was one of those. That was the first kind of I've been following again, like in the tougher side.
Yeah.
You know, I could.
He mucked it up when he came over to Manchester, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He was. You'd never know. He was such a unassuming figure, like tall and he had big stature to him, but you'd never know the kind of role that he played or
Right.
uh, just unassuming.
It's
Uh,
a lot of those guys are like that, right? They're the
yeah,
nicest
yeah,
dudes off the ice. They're the best teammates, and then they'll go out there and just do some wild shit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love those guys. So he was a good dude, eh? Yeah, how long was he
Yeah,
with Manchester?
he had a season with
Just one?
Manchester, and I think he retired after that one.
Okay. I got a question for you then. There's a picture of you in minor hockey for your poster pics, and it was you with like six coaches. Do you know how backwards that is? Usually it's like a team of players and like one coach.
Yeah,
You were
so
all coaches and one player. You
yeah,
guys
so
doing
that
shit backwards in
was
Manchester, eh?
it. Yeah, so that was a hockey school. So it was a Manchester Storm hockey school back in the day. But one of the guys, so a couple of players would help out. So one of them's like the head coach of Manchester Storm, Terry Christensen, and his wife, who was a figure skating coach. And then there was a few players, but it was Mike Morin, was one of the guys who's our assistant coach now. So I always think like the circle of life. I grew up as a Storm fan watching the game. Morin was like a Storm legend, and the circle of life we're
Now he's
now
coach. Yeah.
colleagues.
Yeah. Now you're working
Uh,
together. Yeah. No, it
yeah,
is interesting, right? It's like, yeah, it's like growing up watching all your favorite players and then all of a sudden, like for me, like watching Brandon Dietrich at Elmira playing for my hometown team. And then he was the one that brought me over to Germany to be his line mate. And then I'm playing with like my hero as his line mate.
yeah.
Weird stuff.
It's crazy how life can turn.
It is. It all works out. Next poster pick is you at center ice with a player, and I didn't recognize the player, but he didn't have the sponsorship velcroed on the pants there. What was that about? He wasn't playing?
So that one was he's a friend, Jake Nurse he's called. So he played in our like the sort of lower league to the elite league. Uh Again, me and Jake first introduced each other was for training to help him with pre-season because he really wanted to push on. And now he came to my wedding in Cyprus. Like we were professional. We've formed a relationship to be, helping the gym,
Yeah.
but we built that really like that good relationship
Working
where,
together.
yeah, yeah. So that moment, I think that was after. I don't know if it's a challenge cup or a pre-season game against Sheffield. So he did camp with us that season with the Storm. Got a game, so to a
So
local.
you had helped train him and get him to that point that he was training with the Manchester
So
Storm.
yeah, yeah. So then we got into we had pre-season and we had I think he had dressed for 2 games. So at the end of the game against Sheffield, because so to him that was like living a dream. You grow
Yeah.
up as a Manchester lad playing hockey, you get to play for the Manchester Storm. So we just wanted to kind of capture that moment after the game.
Oh,
It was
for
quite
sure.
special.
No, that is. Yeah, like it's really cool when kids can, I guess, chase their dreams and then kind of
Yeah,
fulfill them, right? Like, um, yeah, no, it's like growing up anywhere and you idolize people, right? And then
yeah,
I always explain to people, like, I don't think people on this side of the pond realize the passion the fans have, kids, everybody has for hockey in the UK. The hockey
yeah,
fans in the UK are hockey fans. Like, they're as into it as anybody. And
yeah,
people over here, it's just NHL, NHL, NHL. And it's like there's nothing else. And like that is your NHL. You grow up as kids, if you're watching hockey, that's who you're trying to be. And I didn't even realize it when I was playing. It was actually when I went back for Wally night and I'm watching the warm up as just a fan. And I saw
yeah,
all the kids standing on the glass with their parents. And I saw the interaction with the players. And
yeah,
like, that's what hockey's all about.
yeah. Because I can remember stuff when I was like 11, but I can picture it like yesterday where a player chucked you a puck. I can remember the moment. It's a big deal when you're a kid.
God, gosh darn right it is. I took my kid to a couple Islanders game to watch Tom Kuhnhackl, one of our favorite players. And like, you get there for warm up and like all it is showing up early enough to get a good spot for warm up for the NHL games. And like the players will toss you pucks. Like my kid was talking to the Islanders goalie. It's really cool. Like
Yeah,
that players will take the time for kids and the
yeah,
players that won't take time for kids, I got no time for you either. So I won't be up at
yeah.
5:30 in the morning to talk to them in my shed, Good stuff. Okay. Next poster pick. You're a roller hockey enthusiast?
Yeah, so obviously over here, ice time, it's, I've got one rink to go to when I grew up. So the alternative, you get your roller skates on.
You do.
So that
And
picture I sent you,
I got a shout out though to Dave Velo, who sent me a picture of his little fella, shed guy in trading there. He was rollerblading around in the Midlands. I guess that's
yeah,
between Coventry and somewhere. He told me, but his kid's out there on like just the tarmac, right, with
yeah,
rollerblades because they don't have ice. But
yeah.
if you got the love for the game, you got to find a way to play, right?
That's it. So that was me every day. Luckily, I had a garden with enough sort of paving space.
Mm-hmm.
But that picture was like, I think I've got a plastic street hockey stick and terrible. I bet the skates were like £20 from the sports shop or something, but it got me going.
If any UK people are listening and they're little fellas or shed gals or guys are out there in rollerblades playing road hockey, stop buying the plastic blades. Stop buying the plastic sticks. Buy the real sticks or let them use their old hockey sticks, right? You can't be using
Yeah,
plastic sticks. That's
no,
embarrassing.
that
Stop
was
it.
a sports, all sports. It was the team the company who sponsored the jersey. Uh, but at the time, obviously, you're like, where do you get my mum and dad? Oh, can I have a hockey stick? Where on earth do you get a hockey stick from?
Right.
Because it took a while to kind of get equipment. It's like, oh, there's an ice rink. We'll go to the ice rink, take you skating.
You know what actually took one reason why I wanted to have you on was when I checked you out there, research team was getting hot. You put out a tweet of the Manchester shelter sold out, and you said, "Isn't it crazy, like how much the game is growing?" Right?
Yeah,
I think it's cool. I almost feel like a part of it, trying to help the UK hockey scene grow. But like
yeah,
when I saw the Manchester arena sold out, um, that would be an electric atmosphere. Cause like I went there with
yeah,
Cardiff, I played one game, and then that other time I dressed naked as a Viking. But like it wasn't sold out. It was a good atmosphere. But like if you get that building rocking, I know what it can be like because I lived it
yeah,
at the Big Blue Tent at Cardiff.
yeah. It's the atmosphere, even half full when the crowd are on it, you can
Yeah.
really feel it. I know the
When they're
guys
just
enjoy it.
stocked with chocolate, ready for a win, right? Yaps falling out of their pockets.
Flying out everywhere. But yeah, that game on, I think it was New Year's Day, complete sellout. Not a, you're shoulder to shoulder with everyone. Great atmosphere, and it's a tough city, Manchester, to kind of have a team in. We've got two of the biggest world football teams. Uh, we have top level rugby union, top level rugby league. We have a pro basketball team.
So yeah,
It,
if people are into sports, there's a lot of options, and
there's a lot of
it's
options.
probably not just sports too, right? It's like for people to be entertained. There's a lot going on in Manchester.
Yeah. So it is a tough market to break, but I definitely think the game can be successful here, and the base is growing in Manchester. Pash and Neil brought a team from nothing, and in months got a squad together and built those foundations. And now Finner and the owners are kind of going on to the next level now and really bringing the infrastructure in.
Yeah. Well, I'll do my best from over here too to help promote you guys. Just
You're a
want
good
a
one.
pop-up stand someday, right? No, but I don't know. It's like you said about the relationships. It's like now that I've met like a handful of the guys on your team and they're all dandies. For me, it was weird when I was a player. I kind of hated everybody on every other team if they weren't on my team, unless they were my buddy. If I knew them, then they were my buddy. But otherwise, like I didn't really like anybody on any other team. But now that like you meet all these hockey guys, we're all the same on different teams. We're just wearing
Yeah,
different
yeah,
jerseys.
exactly.
Yeah. I'm a fan every time you just don't play Cardiff, right? So next poster pick, the Sam Bell logo, strength and conditioning. So how'd you come up with that? It's a kettlebell, eh?
Yeah, that was the designer come up with all that. I just said what colors I want, and they ran with it.
Hmm.
Uh,
You didn't even choose the kettlebell. You let them choose
no,
it?
just let the guy work his magic,
Mhm.
and that's what they came back with. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I was
So
happy
it,
with that.
and then there was I guess another pick with your daughter at a game with Dallas Earhart, eh?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
again,
have him on someday. Do you think he's gonna dodge
uh,
me or what? Do you think
he's
he'll talk to me?
again, he's an unassuming guy, just quiet and relaxed. Great guy. I think he likes to be in the background. He'll
Hmm.
take less of the credit that he's due, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Take
No,
more of the
yeah.
blame. I that he's due and less of the credit. That sort of character.
I do know he doesn't need any credit. He just wants to help the team win and do everything he can. He doesn't need to be
Exactly.
in the headlines.
Exactly. But maybe
Yeah.
one day he'll come on.
Yeah,
We nearly had the
maybe.
whole team on at this
I'll
rate.
try. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay. So then all the jerseys on the wall for your poster pick, is that in your gym?
So that's in my gym, yeah. I just always, when I was like 15, became a bit of a game worn jersey geek. Started buying some game worn jerseys.
There's a lot of game worn jersey geeks out there. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, and this was the days of like you going on forums and you sending $250 in a check across the pond,
Hey,
hoping that you get a
that's
jersey
the only
back.
way I had that raffle that was so successful and raised money for prostates and my under 9 gals, right? Was that people like jerseys.
Yeah, yeah. So I like to try and keep a jersey of athletes I've worked with. So I always try and keep one from the Storm.
Mhm.
A couple of them are rugby ones. There's a football one, a soccer one on there. People, so just people I've worked with. If I can get a jersey off them and proudly hang it again, it's that building relationships.
Well, for
You
sure. You're proud of who you're working with. And like for me as
yeah,
a hockey guy, like, I had to be in a lot of gyms throughout my past career. And every gym you'd go in and you see stuff on the wall, people are looking at that. I was always looking at, I'm like, oh, who's been in here before? What jersey's
yeah,
that? I'm like, oh, you know him, like it's interesting. And it's great that you're doing that.
yeah. Just something I've always liked to do.
One of the guys was Nielsen. Wasn't he a tough character too?
Yeah, he was Eric Nielsen. Yeah, he was a tough guy. Yeah,
You like the tough guys, eh?
yeah. But
I
again,
I probably
like you
wouldn't be
said
your favorite
before,
player then.
he's but he was unbelievable off the ice. I've never come across a character like him. Uh, just radiating positivity all the time. Uh, finding
That
the best things about our rink. I've heard you talk about our rink with guys. Uh,
well, you
he'd
got to
always
make the
stay positive.
positives out of what you got, or else you're just bitching and moaning, right?
Exactly. He'd say, yeah, the ice might be bad or this, but this is our place, our home. Let's be
Right.
proud of it. Let's defend it. Let's do it proud.
Well, and
Uh,
if the ice isn't good, but you're used to it, isn't that isn't that good for your team, right?
hopefully. So yeah,
It is
he,
a
he was
small
just
barn though, eh? Like the
yeah,
actual ice surface. I enjoy that because I didn't get around much there. I like to muck it up too a bit in the corners. So I like your barn. It brings
yeah,
back memories for me. And people probably wonder why I've taken such a shine to the Manchester Storm and why I have on so many Storm people. But I like the barn. I like that you're not the biggest budget team in the league, that you're kind of the underdogs. And it very much reminds me of the 2014-15 Cardiff Devils. And,
yeah.
I think it'd be really cool to feel like I helped if you guys do win a couple more games, even if I didn't help. Shed boosts, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So when you're a player, let me guess here. You're either an up and down the wing type of a guy, ready to chuck knuckles at any time, dumping it in the corner, trying to kill a guy, or you are a stay-at-home D-man trying to clear the front of the net and muck it up there. Which one
Well,
was it?
so to be like I never, unfortunately for me, and this is like the story of hockey over here, especially back in the day, I was never able to play like competitive hockey. I remember going to my first session. I had the plastic stick,
Oh dear.
rented skates,
Oh dear, not the
a
blue
helmet
ones.
with no cage, and no gloves.
Stop it.
And I remember that feeling I had where I saw everyone in the gear. I was like, oh my god!
Yeah.
And then somehow we weren't poor growing up. Like cupboards are always full, but hockey equipment was on another level.
Hockey's a different
Yeah,
level, man. And I
but then
hear about
ice
it over here
time,
now. Yeah.
they travel into the rink. So it was just hard for me to get into it and be a regular thing. So I didn't go to where I wanted to go with the game.
Right.
And then the rink shut and we didn't have anything. Couldn't go to Blackburn, couldn't go to Sheffield. Uh,
So
and
there's
that's
only
what's,
one rink when you were growing up. Is it like the big blue tent one we're talking about, the shelter?
oh, no, it was, they built that one because the other one they knocked down. I think they sold the land and they built houses on it. It was bad. I think it had not been changed for like 35 years. It was netting all the way around,
Hmm.
uh, like really old rink.
Classic
Uh,
barn.
but the opportunity is just it's hard to come by when you travel in and the cost of it all.
Well, especially too for parents that like aren't hockey people and have never been into it,
Yeah,
that all of a sudden their kids saying they want to play hockey, and you're like, it's gonna cost how much?
yeah. So
It
sadly for
is nuts.
me, I always enjoyed the physical side of the game.
You
I like
just
that
what
side of
just
it.
happened? Well, you just did something. You sound different now. What'd you hit? Did you hit something? You don't sound the same.
No, I've not touched anything.
Now you sound like you're in a toilet.
I
He's back. Sounds normal. Not doesn't have his head in the toilet anymore. I don't know what happened there.
don't know what happened.
It
So
doesn't
yeah, I
matter.
like the physical side of the game. But yeah, the struggles of a kid in Manchester in the mid 90s, early 90s, to try get to rinks and get time. It'd be dead late at night. I've been to the rink at 10 p.m. as a 14-year-old, study getting ready to do some exams, and I'm at the rink till midnight on a school night,
Yeah.
uh, liaising with parents for drop-off pickups, and
What
it's tough.
for sure. And I guess one thing is like all the equipment you need, the ice time, this like the skates, the sticks. It's a lot easier to just have a soccer ball, right?
That's it, and you can play anywhere. But
Yeah.
again, I was lucky, and that's where roller hockey became easier.
Yeah.
I had a good little roller hockey rink around the corner from where I grew up. Uh, it was more accessible. More the times were
I find
normal
it
times.
interesting the people that have a passion for the sport can find a way to be in it. Like you
Yeah,
obviously had a passion as a young buck for hockey. You never got to really do the whole thing, but you're in the sport now, you know?
yeah. Ironically, yeah. This again, the circle of life.
Right?
Weights come round, and I'm working with the club that I watched as a kid, and you get to mix two passions. Then your passion for coaching people, passion for the game, but I also think there's an element of uh, strength coaches can go from sport to sport. You can understand the demands and everything, but there's something about the elite league that I think there's some good coaches within this country now, because it's quite a new thing. S&C as like in hockey over here. Uh, to understand the game and the demands and the mental demands in the elite league, we have a lot of guys this year. It could be the first time living abroad.
Right.
You may have lived out in colleges, but they're now thousands of miles away. That has an impact on people. People get
Oh,
homesick, or
for sure.
I'll always say to guys, if you want to message me, if there's a brand of food that you like, but peanut butter or whatever, what shops to go to, what sport clothing shops are going to charge you over the top, or where's the cheaper brand, all
Well,
these things have to be
when
considered.
you're moving overseas as a young guy, and it's like for me, I don't know if I got almost like not immune to it, but like I remember the first flight over to Germany and like looking out the window when I'm about to land, and I'm like, what am I getting into? Like I'm looking at how it looks, and then you start seeing signs and they're different languages, and you're like, holy moly! And then like eventually you feel comfortable there, but it takes time and it takes
Yeah,
people that are from there, like yourself, that know the area that can help you feel more comfortable. And
yeah.
hockey players play better when they feel comfortable.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to like my philosophy. It, I want people to feel comfortable, happy. It's not a case of I'm telling you what to do, and guys know the body better than anyone else. If we can guide the ship, and you're open to try things, brilliant. But it's forming that relationship and building a partnership. It's a two-way communication thing. We want you to
Jeez.
feel settled, and if you're settled, then your hockey's better.
Huh. Uh, I mean, what you're saying is everything you're saying is like you sound like the fitness guy I'd want when I was a player, because there's some real donkeys out there, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, I can imagine there's some.
Hey, don't sit back another inch. You sounded bad for another half second there. Get
Is
right
that
up
better?
there. Nope, that's worse. What'd you do again?
I'm just sat forward.
I know it. Now you sound bad again. Jeepers, this is weird.
It's the
Um,
new PC as well.
oh, now you're back.
I'm
Geez,
back.
yeah, now it sounds good again. Okay, here's another question for you. Um, I was research team got hot, almost kind of creepy. You worked for Manchester City, the football club, for a bit.
So yeah, so that I've had a hiatus from the training world. I think looking back, I probably suffered a bit of burnout. You're constantly trying to help people and create things and come up with ideas and keep it fresh. But training can be mundane. Good training can be mundane,
Yeah,
simple and good structure. I ran a gym, my own gym, worked in another gym. Just had my daughter was like 6 months old. You just
you're
And I
grinding.
always thought if I'm training myself or if I go have a breakaway at the weekend, I'm letting people down. We should be reading and tweaking programs. So I had a little hiatus from the S&C world.
Yeah,
And that was when Neil Russell went. So when Neil Russell left Manchester Storm, he went to Manchester City and took me under his wing and sort of, it was business sales. So it wasn't the strength side at all. Uh, so yeah, it was a bit
hard,
of a change for me.
hard adjustment, you could say.
It and again, it was not that I'm not a player, but when you read about guys, and maybe you may have felt the same feelings when you retire from the game, or when I left the strength world, that was my identity. I was the strength guy, or I was dead proud that I worked for the Storm. I was really proud of it.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, I'm in a shirt and I'm going to an office.
yeah,
The vibe is different, the
yeah,
atmosphere. So when I read about guys who have retired and they struggle, I felt like I went on my own little journey of, you know,
right.
I'm not used
I
to this.
yeah,
This isn't my passion.
right. And yeah, like talking to you, I could tell that hockey is a passion of yours, and like you enjoy the sport, you enjoy getting to know the players, you enjoy helping them be better. And like that, as like you said, as your identity as the fitness guy, and like being a part of the team and being part of all of it, and then it's just over. um Geez, that's what happens to players, and
Yeah,
a lot of them struggle after. And it has nothing to do with how much money you made. There's guys that played in the NHL that made millions that have the same struggles that us plugs that play in the leagues I played in, that we don't have that much money when it's over, and we got to get to work right away and
yeah,
figure shit out. But
yeah,
it's the same struggle for anybody, no matter what you do after. You
yeah,
lose your identity, you lose who you were. And yeah, it's weird, right?
yeah. I mean, I
You
think back,
sound bad again. Why does it keep doing
what's
that?
going on?
I don't know. You said you sound good, then you sound bad. It's okay. Don't worry
This is a
about it.
brand new PC. Let's send it back.
Oh, now it sounds good again. So how
So
did you get
yeah,
into the fitness side of things then? How did you
so
get into that?
so I was 19, working in an office just in Manchester, loving the gym, loving training. I had a friend who was just signed his first pro rugby union contract with the team here, telling me about they have this guy in the gym who trains them. And I loved the gym at the time. So I was like, right, well, I want to do that. I want a career I enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's when I went back to university, studied at uni, did strength and conditioning. And that's how I got into it. I just enjoyed training. I was like, I
Yeah.
want to do this as a career.
And then how'd you get in with the storm then? So you're doing it on your own. That's like you're starting a business, but then how do you get with the storm?
Yeah, so I work for rugby union. So I've been in a couple of sports. You get experience as you're at uni as well, working with different sports and athletes. So it was Twitter. So I'm just scrolling through Twitter. Manchester Storm are back because they had a hiatus where they disappeared and then they've been brought back to life. So I follow them on social media, and a video was posted by the team, like the club account, of the guys training in the gym. I was kind of like, oh,
What are they doing?
what's going on here?
Yeah.
This is in season training. Uh, and that prompted me. Then I just tweeted Neil Russell and Pasha as an off the cuff. I give a tweet, and in the off season went and met Neil. And after the first chat with him, that was it. I was with the team then.
Well, after
So it all
chatting with
started
you,
from a
I'd
Twitter
sign you up
video.
too.
Yeah.
No, seriously. I it's interesting for me because I didn't know who I was having on today, but I really dig what you're doing and I like your
It's good to
attitude.
hear. Good to hear.
How do you feel about your players eating chocolate though?
Everything in moderation.
What if we start getting a lot?
They can put them in a bag and bank them,
Okay,
save them, spread
right.
them out over the season.
I actually really enjoy though that the fans will only throw them for wins. I love that they
Yeah,
get it and that you only celebrate wins and you have to earn your chocolate, right?
exactly. That's it. You earn the right, don't you?
Okay. So if you were going to make, would you ever, as a fitness guy, let's see here. One of my first questions would be, would you ever, as the fitness test for the season, try and make them run 2 miles in 12 minutes? 8 laps of a track in 12 minutes, folks. When you're 5'8", I'm just curious, would you make a hockey player do that? Is that like a shift? Is that like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't
No.
personally. I get, but everyone, all coaches have their own philosophies and how they want to do things. Me personally, no. Like I said earlier, it's what you're testing for and why, and what you're going to do with it.
Right.
And there is a little bit of a turn of this fixation of fitness testing. Like I said, just I'd rather get guys in and see what they're like in the gym, see how they move, who's got difficulties, who's not got good patterns, and again, elite league, you just hit the ground running.
Right.
So
And then
I
it's more
personally,
about
I wouldn't.
form too, right? Making
Yeah,
sure they're
I
not going to
wouldn't.
get injured and doing something silly. Like you're
Yeah,
not
I
going to
wouldn't
make
do
a
that.
guy do max squat or cleans in the middle of the season, right?
Exactly, and I've heard stories of that happening.
Mm.
Uh, Again, it's about understanding the people you work with, the sport, the elite league itself as well. Like over here, all our sports play one game at the weekend. You talk to people who don't follow hockey, and they're like, "Oh, you're playing Saturday and Sunday." You're like, "Yeah, every weekend we might
Yeah.
have a home game. The
Might
next
mix in a
morning, the guys are
Wednesday
6 hours
too.
up to Dundee
Yeah.
and then back, or they're doing it on the Saturday, getting back at 3 or 4, sleeping, and then they've got a game Sunday." So yeah, testing. I always think, why are you doing the test? What is the test for? Is it going to give us indicators on ice performance? Again, debatable. Uh, so yeah,
So it's I'm this might have happened in Germany in July, just saying. So would you have hockey players show up 3 times a day and run 400 meters over and over again? So say like I would say like say 8 to 15 times, run 400 meters that are timed, and then take a break for a couple hours and then come back and do it again, and then take a break for a couple hours and then come back and do it again. Would you do that to players?
no, I wouldn't personally.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. No, it's just from experiences. I have a few nightmares every once in a
I can
while,
imagine. I was going to say, did you enjoy that?
No, I had anxiety the night before. I didn't want to wake up the next day. I hated
I can
everything about
imagine.
it.
Can imagine. But things are changing the game with like morning skates. Uh, they're becoming an optional thing now. I mean, we don't have that option here with ice times and stuff. But I know in the NHL, morning skates becoming optional. Do you need them to come in, take that time, get all the gear on? But again, some guys love that.
Do you know that pregame skates actually originated because guys were going out and getting after it and they needed a sweat in the morning before
Is that
the
what
mat?
it is? That what it is?
Rumor has it that's how the NHL started it back in the day. That yeah, but I think every player should do what they need to do to be ready to play, right?
I agree. And again, I know I don't want mean to go on about my philosophy,
I like your
but
philosophy. Go on with it.
whatever, obviously, as long as it's safe, whatever someone needs to do to get themselves ready for a game day, if we can help facilitate in the week, obviously, you don't want them sat in their ass doing nothing.
Mm.
But guys have their routines, they know, and I think I've found as well, like as time's gone on, there's a lot of education in the game in terms of the off ice stuff where you get a college guy, Barrow has come in. I know he's worked under an unbelievable strength coach for 4 or 5 years. He's gonna be well educated on that side, having had a good strength coach. Uh, I learn from play. I'll always say to a player, I will learn from you. We'll all learn something off each other.
You can learn
I'm
from
not
everybody, right? Like,
exactly. I'm not like it's my way or the highway. You can
yeah.
help me. You tell me what you've done in the past. Help you. I know you've worked under great strength coaches. Athletes nowadays are they're clued up in various sports because they've had good, and generally I've found with the like college guys, they'll have great facilities,
Oh
and they'll
yeah.
have a program that's all structured and coaches to deliver it. And
Oh,
yeah, I've
college
always learned.
workouts are as intense as they get. I don't know if they've changed, but when I was in college, it was, well, I guess we were just getting into all this fitness in the hockey world, right? It was still somewhat new. And like,
Yeah,
we were doing the max squats, we were doing the max cleans, we were doing max deadlift, we were doing max everything. And quite frankly, it was really stupid, you know? Like,
yeah,
it was guys were getting injured in the weight room. And it's like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
that's not what you need.
No, not at all.
No. Okay, so let's see here. So when was Manchester in the big rink? Wasn't there a team that was in a big rink and not the little rink? Like,
Yeah, so in when the team formed in '95, we played out of it was called the 9X Arena at the time. I think it's like the AO sponsored one now. And I was at the Sheffield game where there was just under 20,000 people.
just under
Uh,
20,000 people.
I think it was 97, 96, 97 season. Off the top of my head, it was a sellout, complete sellout, just like 19,500.
That's for a
Uh,
normal game in the Elite League.
yeah, so I was what we were watching games in that 95, 96 of the Division One. We were the league below, and we'd have 15,000 people there against Chelmsford Chieftains, and we won 15-1 or something like that. Uh,
That's wild.
so yeah, and then for a lot of years, we'd regularly get 10,000 people a game. Uh, but then it just started to.
But now that then this rink now, like I don't know Manchester that well, but it's not downtown.
So
It's
no, so the arena in the early days was like the concert arena right in the
right,
heart of the city centre.
right. And
But
then
then when
you're
the
gonna,
team
yeah, that's a
when they
different
disbanded,
market. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, so when the team went under in 2002, I don't know when the rink was built, but yeah, it's Altchingham's just outside of Manchester.
Right.
Uh, and yeah, it's a bit different to the big arena days.
Well, but like I love your barn. I think it's awesome. And that I think that hockey's hockey when like the rink isn't perfect. And like you see hockey played nowadays and every rink looks the same. And like it never hits a partition and bounces to the middle. It never hits some weird crook in the corner and bounces out front and a guy scores a weird goal. Like I don't know. I like that stuff. I think that's hockey, you know?
Yeah, it's touch and go where the lights come back on after the intros.
Yeah. It's very much the big blue tent.
Character.
Okay. If you were going to tell a hockey player what to eat for pregame meal, what would you tell them?
Again, I hear crazy, like I don't eat at all. I've tried eating and I hate it. I'm sick with anxiety. But just a nice, simple, balanced pasta chicken, something nice and simple, nothing too
A
heavy on your
protein, a
tummy.
carb, and a vegetable.
Yeah, get your veggies in. But then like Ricky Hatton, the boxer from Manchester, every fight he says, I have a big English fry up, sausages, bacon, eggs, and he'd go out and win a world title.
And everybody does it's whatever works for you, right? Like
Exactly.
Evan Mosey microwaves cheeseburgers, apparently.
There we go. And again, early on in my career, I'd be telling you that's wrong. Doesn't matter what you think on the ice, that's wrong. That because it's not backed by science or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And as I've got older, it's like, does it work for someone? Is it really that thing to say? You can't. You should. No, don't do
Right.
that.
Because it's however you're meant. I think you got to be in the right mental space to run amok. You need to feel like you're going to go out there and do it. And if, say, eating one of the frozen pizza, like you put in a frozen pizza in the oven and that's your pregame meal, but you feel like you're going to run amok, then you might, right?
And you get a performance. You bang some goals in. Who are you to say?
Right.
No, sorry. What you did, it's not working. That you need to stop it.
Right.
Some people might say it's too lax to say that, but again, I'm very much on, if it's safe and it works for you, let's work within those boundaries and let's make you happy, good on the
Right.
ice.
Happy players play better.
That's it.
So as a Storm fan growing up then, before you were part of the team, who were your favorite players? Do you have any?
Yeah, again, I like the tough guys, and we didn't have many in Manchester when I was growing up. We had a guy called Doug Dool come over, uh, who ended up going back over and making the NHL with the Bruins.
Really?
Uh, he was a lifelong IHL, AHLer. So when he was like our first tough guy.
What was his name?
Doug Dool or
Mm-hmm.
Dowell, however you pronounce. I say Doug Dool.
Yeah, I don't know him.
Yeah, he came over for 16 games, I think it was. Had some great fights with Dennis Vial, Louis Bedard.
And then he
Uh,
went back and made the back.
and then he
Then he
went
ended up.
back. I think he went back to St. John Maple Leafs or St. John Flames. And then made the Bruins for everybody. Belak, Domi,
Yeah,
Derek Carnes, all the big guys.
well,
Done well
that's
for
cool.
himself. But I
Um,
think Mike Morin, Brad Rubachuk, they were the legends of Manchester. Hilton Ruggles in the first couple of seasons. Yeah, Brad Rubachuk, Mike Morin, they're the Storm legends. Them.
now that we're talking about all the history of the Storm, is I had a fan episode way back when with and Lee Hudson, a Manchester Storm fan, was on it, and he was always giving me, when I first started the shed, he was giving me like the history of the Storm, and like I'd talk about stuff and he'd be like, well, this happened this year, and it was pretty cool to get to know like the
Yeah.
history of the Storm. I don't know how I got invested in you guys, but I think it started with Lee back then. Okay, so then what do you tell the guys after hockey games? Do you make them get in cold tubs? Do you guys have garbage cans full of cold water like we did in the big blue tent?
No, we don't.
No cold tubs.
No facility. Our options in the rink are very limited.
Yeah, you need garbage
Uh,
cans. That's what
I don't.
we filled up garbage cans, like the
Yeah,
plastic
yeah.
bins full of water, and he'd make me get in there. I hated it.
Get your head under.
He'd make me. He'd force me into it. So what do you tell them then to recover after games? You tell them anything? There's no bikes then too, eh? Like a lot of teams would get everybody to do a quick flush or whatever they say.
No. And our situation in Manchester as well. I work at gyms. I have my own private PTs. Unfortunately, I'm not with them day in day out.
Right.
I don't think the business is quite ready for that to invest in that. I think they're doing great off the ice. They're doing all the right. They're checking the boxes on commercial side. Just got a great new ubiquity and new sponsorship partner that's a long-term deal. They're ticking all the right boxes, and one day the time will be right to then invest in that side. We have a great sports rehabilitator, Tom, who's there with the guys day in day out and does a great job with them. One day that my side of things will get there,
Right.
and then
Well, it's a lot for a hockey team to get to that point. Like, my
it is,
goodness.
and we're a young franchise. We have history from '95, but we came back in, I think it's 2015.
My last hockey season.
Was that your last season? So
Yeah.
we're back then. It takes, as you know, it takes a while to get all these things in place.
Oh, for sure.
You need to have a viable business plan that works. The team can't be losing money. So I think we're ticking the right boxes as a business. I'm not a business guy. I just know the club is growing. You see more bodies. We have a commercial guy. Social
When I
media,
saw the storm shelter sold out, I was like, geez, I don't know how many times I've seen that since, like, you guys have been back since 2015. Like, I don't know how many times that happens, but man, that place looked like it was rocking there.
It was brilliant. And and this was me when I was a kid. And this is what I try and get newbies to the game. I've never met someone new to the sport watch a game and say that was boring. That
Right.
Everyone comes and is like, wow, that was fast. People hate each other. There's the odd fight. People don't come to a game and say it was boring.
Well, seeing a live hockey game is so different than watching it on TV. Like, it's not even similar. But then for me, and people could tell me I'm wrong, watching big ice surfaces, watching, say, Belfast, Sheffield, Nottingham, like the big ice surfaces, even Cardiff now, I don't find those games as entertaining as watching it
Yeah,
at the storm shelter. I
yeah,
think mucking it up, getting in the corners, people bumping into each other. Like you get on those big surfaces, man, the guys are just a little bit too far away for actual
yeah.
body
Things
checks to
happen
happen.
quicker at our barn.
Way
Everything
faster.
happens quicker.
Yeah. Don't need all that time. Muck it up, right?
Yeah.
So I guess you probably don't get into too much off-season stuff, right? Unless maybe a player you know is re-signing and they ask for some help in the off-season, but a lot of them are probably going to
Exactly.
have their own trainers and shit, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The guys have their own people back home. I know some that still go back to their old college and spend time there.
Right.
I always try and make myself available to somebody and say, if you need guidance or support, reach out. Uh, so yeah, and again, it's like most of your team are from a different country, so off season, and your Brits are generally not from Manchester.
Right.
So it's even hard to say, well, keep the Brit guys, come to my gym.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, off season, it's like I make myself available, whether they re-sign or not. If someone leaves, you build that relationship.
You're still buddies and you'll
You're
still help
still
them at
invested
any
in
day.
them. You want
Yeah.
them to do well no matter where they go or what they do. You want them to succeed in life. And if they need a bit of support there, I will always be open to help. You know, if a guy stays at the club 5 games and he's gone, but we were able to, you get to know them and you're invested in their career, you
Yeah.
do it to help people. And if you still do that when they leave, I'll always offer support.
I know what you mean. It's like coaching the little fellas last season. And I'm not coaching them this year. They're they're on like there's four different teams all my fellows are on now. And I'm always here for them and
Yeah.
always here to help because you get invested in
Yeah.
people when you get to know them and you want to see them do well in hockey and life, like you said.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's always the tough thing with this game and sport. You know, Chase Ruddy, come with us, you build a relationship. And then in sport, people go to different teams and you're
Right.
like, you're gutted when that happens.
Oh yeah.
Uh, you build a relationship, Jordy Stallard early on in the season. You build a relationship and then things happen in sport. And before you know it, they're off to another country. And you're like,
And,
oh,
and you
I
may
enjoyed
not,
working with them.
yeah, and
I'm
you may not
gutted.
even see them again. Like, and
Yeah,
that's hockey. It's like you can be playing with a guy, you see them every day, and then all of a sudden they're not there anymore.
they're not there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. So as a trainer, if you were out with the lads having a few in Manchester, what are you gonna get into late night when you need some food before bed?
Anything you want, soak that beer up,
Get it into you, eh? Run
get
amok.
it in you.
So they have anything like Chippy Lane where there's like a place to go late night in Manchester to soak it up?
So I'm gonna have to, back in the day for me, I'm an old man now. I have not been out in town for 10 years.
I know, me too. I have to go
Uh,
to my shed.
we'd go to Rusholme, Wimslow Road, Curry Mile, it's called. No, it's
Curry
known
Mile. Oh,
Curry Mile.
oh man,
Uh,
that would give me some body odor going down that
Food
road.
places, they'll be open at 5 in the morning. uh,
Really? Go right till 5, eh?
yeah, it's a lively place.
You like curry?
I enjoy a curry, yeah. Yeah,
Really, eh?
yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make me smell well, you know?
I've never had
uh,
that problem.
well, I don't know what else I got other than like it's been great getting to know you. And what is your favorite chocolate bar? Do you have one?
Oh, I'd have
I
to
don't
say
think
Whisper.
a Twix,
Whisper.
a Whisper.
Yeah, Cadbury's Whisper.
I've never even heard of a
You
Whisper.
never heard of that one? It's nice. It's like just standard chocolate with a bubbly center.
A bubbly center. That
That would
sounds
be right.
exotic. A
They're nice.
Whisper.
They're nice though. Anyway, they're nice.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've never had chocolate thrown on the ice for the fitness coach, but if fans do want to throw a Whisper out on the ice, okay, that's for you.
So,
Just so you, okay.
appreciated.
But like I don't know. People probably think I'm crazy for getting up at 5:30 in the morning to talk to a guy I've never met, but after meeting you and getting to know you, totally worth it.
I'm glad you
You
did. I'm impressed.
well,
Half five.
if you like having fun, you got to fit in time for yourself,
I
right?
felt
But
really bad when you said half five. I was like, I can't make you get up. No one wants to hear me talk,
oh yeah, they
let
do.
alone you getting up at half five.
Well, like the little fellas had a hockey game last night and they didn't
Yeah.
start till 8:15. And what a hockey match that was. They were brutal. They were
Oh, what the-
awful. They were losing 3-1 to a team that is not very good that they beat 8-2 not long ago. And there's 2 minutes left. They're down 3-1 and they pull the goalie and somehow ended up winning 4-3, scoring with 6 seconds left. Shed guy Ronan scored from the blue line with 6 seconds left. So they didn't just tie it up in the last 2 minutes. They did, in fact, win the game. And
Got the win.
yeah, I think I don't know. It's interesting for me because they were brutal. Not sure how much they learned because they ended up winning the game. But then again, there's teams that find ways to win, and then there's teams that don't have that don't find the way to win those close games. And
Yeah.
it was bizarre to watch.
I've always hated we deserve to win that one. But you didn't.
Right. But then like
You didn't.
yesterday, the little fellas didn't deserve to win and they did. And it's like, well, what'd you learn from that? I don't know. I almost kind of wanted them to lose the way they played. They were brutal.
Learn
But
some lessons.
yeah, they found a way though. So I guess, hey, winning's fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the next game. Man, it's weird in the UK these days, right? Like I see who you guys are playing each game, and it's like,
Yeah.
so you're playing Guildford, then you're playing Cardiff, then you're playing Sheffield, then you're playing Guildford, then you're playing Belfast. And it's like, holy moly, there's not many layups anymore.
Yeah. Not at all. We've got a tough one. We've got Guildford this weekend as well away. So we've got
Yeah.
the two
Well,
top dogs of the league at the minute.
the only way to become the top dog is to take them down, right?
That's it. And we're up for it.
Yeah. No, you guys have a bunch of great dudes on a team.
Yeah,
Sweet Barn, like, and Ginner and Finner are great dudes in charge. I mean, and then
definitely.
with you as the fitness guy, I mean, everybody should be having fun when they show up to the rink and being ready to play, right?
It's always a good atmosphere.
Yeah. And then it's fun when chocolate can get thrown on the ice too, right? But
Can't beat it.
seriously, great getting to know you. And I
I
guess I
appreciate
gotta,
your time. I've
yeah.
enjoyed it.
No,
I was
I had
worried,
a
I was
great
thinking,
time,
who wants to
boss.
hear from me? I'm a nobody.
So am I. We're all nobodies. That's what the whole part of this. Just a bunch of people that love hockey shooting the shit in the shed, right?
That's it. What more could you want?
Exactly. And to be honest, this will make my day way better. Put me in a better mood all day that I got
Good.
up and I did this and I had a little me time before I start the real world,
Before the madness begins.
Right. And so thank you for your time and lovely getting to know you. And
You too. I appreciate it.
go Devils, go Storm. This has been another episode of Zero L's and Hockey Tales with Belsy and Wally.